Welcome to our Saturday Simulcast. Joined by Brian Neubert, the pride of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Is that where you are right now, right?
Yes.
And you are, where are you at Rock Hill, South Carolina?
You're about to find out what it's like in any McDonald's within a stone's throw of an AAU tournament. It is chaos over here. So,
and you've
we'll
done a good job working through the chaos this week of a busy week of AAU basketball in Rock Hill. I want to thank our sponsor, the Union Club Hotel, the 811 Bistro, Boiler Up Bar. We appreciate them very much. And also want to remind you, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe to us. We'd like you to do that. There's a lot of information special there below you to do that. All kinds of reasons to become a member of GoldandBlack.com. One of them is Brian's pretty much exclusive coverage, at least from our perspective, of AAU basketball and what's been going on this week at Rock Hill. All right, you've been filing reports and posting on our message boards, but I guess my first question to you has just been, what's the overall experience like? As much talent has been there as that has always been at this? I mean, I know there's a lot of guys Purdue's watching. Has the NIL or transfer portal world or any of this changed anything that you've experienced since you did this last year? Is it same old with the coaches being there, et cetera?
Yeah, there are a lot of coaches here. I don't know if they're watching underclassmen the way they used to. I don't know if they're offering underclassmen the way they used to. But there are a lot of coaches here. Purdue's here, obviously keeping track of Trent Sisley and Braylon Mullins. They're two of their three active 2025 targets. And those guys at their games today or this afternoon, whatever time it is, whatever day it is, had Matt Painter, Mike Woodson, Dan Hurley, Bill Self, Tom Izzo, Dusty May, a bunch of others. I mean, there were head coaches everywhere today here. This is the place to be today, apparently. So there are college coaches all over the place. The difference, as I kind of alluded to earlier, is I don't know if they're necessarily putting as much time into watching kids as freshmen and sophomores, maybe as they used to, because so many of them are going to be NIL dependent at the end of the process or transfer dependent after the process has run its course. So that's probably where things change. I do think there's an opportunity here for Purdue. Still has to find Purdue guys. But I think to some extent earlier in the process, when Purdue normally identifies those guys, the competition might be thinned out a little bit because people aren't dedicating the same resources at that stage of a recruit's career as Purdue will continue to. So I think that's one of the differences where things could show up. Whether that's a tangible thing you see at events like this, I really don't think it is, but I think it's a big picture sort of advantage Purdue can find as everything has sort of changed in recruiting here the last couple of years.
You had obviously Sisley and Mullins have, if I read everything right, started the week a little bit slow, or their team did. They've gotten better. Well, just your impressions, and again, I know you've written a lot about them already, but just some of your off-the-cuff impressions of some of the, not just those two, but some of the other guys that you've seen that in terms of the ones that are in Purdue's wheelhouse.
Yeah, all these teams started off with two showcase games, just random games to play before the tournament actually started.
Right.
And in those two showcase games, Indiana Elite with Sisley and Mullins, who went unbeaten in the spring, lost both games and didn't look great doing it. And, Trent Sisley had pneumonia in June. Braylon Mullins had a concussion, so I'm guessing that probably didn't help. But once the coaches came through the doors, everything kind of clicked. I think that's probably coincidence more than anything. But Sisley and Mullins were really good in their two games on Friday. They were really good in their one game they played on Thursday. If they took a step back at the end of June because of their circumstances, they certainly made that step back up and then some. They, all these college coaches who came here to see them got what they were looking for.
Yeah. And in terms of For those that don't know a lot about those guys, if you follow recruiting, you do talk about the just kind of guys and have what you've seen from them changed any of the games, ramped up another step. What kind of guys are they going to be when they get to the college level? Obviously, they're guys, especially right now. It seems like Mullins, maybe Sicily too. Just about everybody's interested in them. What are you seeing from that standpoint?
Yeah, Braylon Mullins is, a 6'5", just a big time shot creator, shot maker. But that's what people see immediately. What he is more than that is just a big time athlete, a big time slasher, a big time transition finisher, kind of things like that. A guy who's got all the upside in the world kind of moving forward. That's the reason UConn's here, North Carolina's here. Oh, Hubert Davis. I didn't mention Hubert Davis before. He's here
North
too.
Carolina.
Everybody in the country wants this guy all of a sudden. And for good reason. He's a really good player. Now, I want to make this very clear. He is going to be really hard for Purdue to get. So just because Purdue's recruiting him, I think people oftentimes jump to conclusions. It's going to be really hard to get Braylon Mullins. He has committed to make an official visit. After I think an unofficial visit in June went really well.
Yeah.
For Purdue, but there's some ground to make up here. UConn wants this guy desperately. Michigan wants this guy desperately, and there's some longstanding allegiances to Michigan. Kentucky's going to be in there. Indiana's been on him forever. It's going to be really, really hard to get this kid. Trent Sicily obviously has been, with Purdue forever in terms of being recruited by them, being a priority, being around them. Matt Painter's gone down to Santa Claus. Yes, Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, Indiana.
I believe 10 times to see Trent Sicily, meet with Trent Sicily, whatever it might be. There's nothing more Purdue can show or tell this kid. But he's going to come on an official visit the first weekend of September as part of his tour of, I think he's taking 5 official visits. Keep in mind, too, official visits are now unlimited, which is insane. I don't know how these kids are going to take more than 5 official visits, but whatever. So Sicily is sort of that stretch 4 kind of guy who's going to be able to play on the perimeter, but also play on the interior a little bit. Can shoot for his position, can post up a little bit, can rebound, can run, he's bouncier than most stretch 4s like that. A lot of those guys sometimes are kind of heavy footed. He's a really good athlete. So Purdue wants to get him and slot him kind of right into its 4 position. I don't know if Purdue has any desperate needs with this 2025 class. So
that's the challenge.
That's what's kind of funny about this. Ordinarily, like with a recruiting class, it's okay, so-and-so is leaving. We have to replace him, or we have to find somebody who can help us replace him. With that 2025 class, you're going to have Camden Heide still in the program, presumably. You always have to say that. You're going to have the guys coming in this year in Raleigh Burgess and whatnot as potential power forwards. You have the option to play small ball, things like that. I don't know how desperately you need a 4-man, but Purdue has recruited Trent Sicily all along to come in and slot into that position right away. And I think that's kind of the reason Purdue's been in a really good spot with Trent Sicily all along here. And but the longer it goes, it is that part of the state. There are natural loyalties to Indiana, things like that, even though Mike Woodson has put in not even a fraction of the time Matt Painter has, and things like that. But always hard to beat IU on a kid like him from that part of the state. This is a sort of player Indiana has historically gotten 9 times out of 10. And when they've lost them, it's been to Kentucky or Louisville or whoever else, Kansas, somebody like that. That is not Purdue country, shall we say. That Purdue has gotten this far, and want to say close because I don't think the kids ever really almost committed or anything like that. But I think Purdue has been right up there at the top kind of all along. And it's because Painter has clicked with his family, he's clicked with him. They've laid out a basketball plan, they've built a relationship, and they've put the time in. And they are not going to recruit over him with transfers the way other schools will. That is me using code for Indiana. That's if Indiana's situation were more stable, if people knew what was going to happen with Mike Woodson here in the next couple of years, if Indiana wasn't recruiting a new team of 23-year-olds every year, this would be probably an open and shut sort of case for them. But that's Indiana's problem. Purdue might steal this one, for all we know.
All right, Matt Painter, you had written a little bit that he was potentially and still going to Augusta. You are going to stay in Rock Hill for the weekend. And why is that?
Because the Adidas circuit right now, just as it worked out, is disproportionately loaded with Purdue targets. It's kind of cyclical sometimes. Sometimes all the guys are on Nike. Sometimes all the guys are on Adidas. Right now, they're all on Adidas. There are a couple of guys on Nike, Antoine West being the most prominent right now. He is not playing again in July. I found this out yesterday morning. Had I not found that out, I would have driven to Augusta without a credential, without a hotel room, and I would have just figured it out. And fighting to get in the door only to find out Antoine West was not playing after driving 2 hours to Augusta, and then having to find a hotel there and stay there when I have nothing else to do in Augusta would have been a disaster. And I feel like I survived a plane crash, to be honest with you, because
I am glad you did.
An all-time for me, an all-time travel debacle for me, had that been the case.
And Antoine West, what, a shooting guard from Toledo? Is that
kind of like a combo guard?
Yeah, and a guy that is in a situation where he's on the periphery of who Purdue's looking at, but he's a guy that
no, he's a priority. He's every bit.
That's right. He's a 26.
25.
25. So he's still one of the.
Purdue has 3 active offers out to see. Well, they have more than that, but their realistic, reasonable list is Sicily, Mullins, Antoine West.
And from West.
They have some other guys. Nick Kamania from out west is one. Sebastian Williams Adams from Texas is another. He's at the Peach Jam. So Painter will go to see him. Painter will go see Ethan Taylor, who's a center that Purdue just offered in the class of 2026. So when I say I'm not going, that doesn't mean there's nobody at the Peach Jam for Purdue to watch. There are plenty of guys, and there's always underclassmen to watch. But it just, for my purposes, the guys I need to know about from a short-term perspective, they're all here now. Antoine West was the only exception, and he's not playing.
The 2026 guys, and we'll kind of close with that because you got places to go and McDonald's. Well, you've already eaten your McDonald's, I think, from that standpoint. Have you already? Did you eat?
I don't eat.
Oh, well, gosh, we got to get.
No, I don't eat here. I got an iced tea.
Oh, all right, there you go. Okay. But he would be eating at the 811 Bistro if he was in West.
And I would be staying at a Purdue Union Club hotel if there was in one in Rock Hill, South Carolina. You know, I'm looking right at Winthrop here. Literally, I'm looking at this window. I'm looking at Winthrop University. I looked for a Union Club hotel there too. I don't know where it is. Ken Halpin told me there was one there, and he was wrong. Apparently.
That's right. This is Ken Halpin territory. I forgot. Purdue's deputy athletics director was at Winthrop for a number of years before coming to West Lafayette. All right, tell me, just give me a little snapshot of what they'll be reading about with some of the 2026 guys that have impressed you this week, and guys that you think will be potentially in there for the long haul for Purdue come next year. Do you think?
Yeah,
are we too early for that?
No. It's not too early. It's never too early. So Purdue has to replace Braden Smith in that class. Good luck, right? But they have to get a point guard, and the reasonable presumption would be that point guard is going to could walk into a pretty prominent role after Braden Smith leaves. Now, Purdue's got C.J. Cox and Jakari Harris coming in this year. Both can play point guard, but they're both kind of more combo guards who can play point guard. I think Purdue is going to look for sort of that, more playmaking type to have somebody who can move right into everything Braden Smith has done for Purdue. Yeah. First guy they offered was a player named Talon Kinney from right on the Kentucky-Ohio border in Kentucky, across from Cincinnati. He is fantastic. He is going to be he's going to have an offer from everybody in the country. He's going to get offered a lot of money as well, I'm quite certain. But Purdue has been in there. The kid, I think, really likes Purdue. Now, it's there's a long way to go. It's one thing for a player to really like a school, before he's had 30 other people offer him, and all of a sudden Kentucky and Louisville and Michigan State and everybody else are watching your games and offering you. But last night alone, he got Villanova and Oregon offers, and I'm not sure those two schools were here. I didn't see them.
Yeah.
But he's going to be an absolute cream of the crop. Top 25, 5-star, McDonald's All-America level sort of player. It'd be really hard for Purdue to get him. But Purdue is in the hunt early, so that's obviously one. I think he's gonna try to take an official visit at some point, maybe. Stephen Reynolds from South Bend is another one.
Right.
He's maybe been a little up and down with his grassroots team, both in the spring and here. But just a guy who could score. And sometimes you don't put a position on a player as much as you just say he's a scorer. You just put the ball in his hands and you let him cook, so to speak. I think that's what Stephen Reynolds is. I think, Purdue's going to have a really good shot there. He's got two sisters in the women's basketball program right now. A third potentially on the way from what I understand. Yeah. So there's going to be some advantages there. That's sort of the difference in the 2026 class here is that, Purdue has normally had these local guys who are candidates to commit early. And that's normally put Purdue ahead. I think in 2026, they're going to have to go national because there's just not a lot of guys in Indiana for them to recruit. Stephen Reynolds being the only real clear priority at this point. So it's a little bit open in that sense, more so than in the past. But there are some guys in Utah that Purdue is recruiting. There's a wing in Ohio, Anthony Thompson, who has an offer, who's just kind of a wing shooter who grows every time I see him. He's 6'7" now. He looks like he's 23 years old, but he's actually a year young for being a junior in high school, so he's not old. There's going to be a lot of names in 2026. Keep track of, and I'll try to sort through it when I get back home here in a couple of days and do like a 10 names to know kind of thing. But point guard is really the focus. Purdue's watching a lot of different guys here. And obviously you're going to want a little bit of everything in what should be a pretty big class. They have 3 scholarships right now. Scholarships might not even matter by the time this class signs.
Who knows?
Because I think Purdue is kind of shifting a little bit toward the assumption that it's going toward 15 roster spots as opposed to 13 scholarships.
13, yeah.
So, they're recruiting with a lot of unknowns right now. And, but I would expect that to be a pretty big 2026 class and an important one because that's the class that comes in just as Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Renn, and Fletcher Lawyer leave. Those are 3 pretty damn good players. And they will all have been seniors. They will have been your team, basically, their senior year, assuming their senior year. Always have to add that qualifier nowadays. Don't freak out. I'm not alluding to anything. So that whatever it was I just said.
No, I'm with you. And we want people to read because you do write and you write very well. So we want them to read what you have to say. And not only from your analysis over this weekend, but then, of course, when you get back to and looking back and kind of sifting through all this kind of stuff. The video camera working okay?
Yeah, but I used the old one so long. The play and stop button got really loose.
Yeah.
So now I have to make more of a concerted effort to actually hit the button. And a couple times I've whiffed on it, and it's kind of thrown me off a little bit. But I'm getting too old for the video shooting stuff.
Yeah, I know. We gotta find someone to travel with you on a full-time basis to handle that. But hey, Brian, thank you, and safe travels, and enjoy the. I know it's just cool and breezy down there. It's a nice, cool climate there in South Carolina in in July. We'll hope that you have a good weekend, and we'll look forward to your coverage as well.
You know what I have to do tonight? I have to do laundry. Can you believe that?
I think you need to do laundry. I can't tell that from here.
No, I didn't bring enough clothes, so I have to actually go do laundry tonight. My hotel doesn't have a laundry room. The hell is that?
But you know what?
You know what would have a laundry room?
I know.
The Union
Club Hotel. You know what? The Union Club Hotel would do your laundry for you.
Well, the hotel I'm in has a laundry service, but I don't want people touching my shirts. So.
Okay, I was gonna say just expense it all, whatever it takes.
No.
We'll cover. We'll cover it. All right, Brian. Thanks so much, and we'll look forward to your coverage. We want to thank the Union Club Hotel as well. We're grateful for their support. A reminder too that you can subscribe to GoldandBlack.com. You can like us. What else can you do?
Subscribe, subscribe, comment,
make good comments only, though. We only say nice things about us, but we hope you do that as well. And again, a laundry list of things, ways to special offers at the bottom of the YouTube as well if you're interested in subscribing. We'd like you to become a member of GoldandBlack.com. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week on our Saturday Simulcast.